tell me what it was like to grow up in Long Beach Island. Like that's because, a lot of people that grew up near me, you look at the shore and it's really a summer thing. So like, what is it like in the winter? Like right now in December, what would it be like to grow up in that area? If you could just kind of kick us off with that.
Yeah, man. Well, it's different. And also thank you for saying that about me being professional from time to time. I know how to turn it on. That's how I got the jobs. But no, I mean, growing up, so we moved to LBI when I was in the fourth grade. And I had just lived on the other side of the bridge, so Manahawkin, New Jersey, for those who may be familiar. And then we moved to the island, and Manahawkin's your typical suburb, right? You have your Walmart, your supermarkets, things like that, fast food joints. The island was completely different. So there was an ordinance on the island that didn't allow any chain restaurants. So everything that was there was like family owned, with the exception of like an Acme and a movie theater. And I stayed there almost all the way up until I finished high school. But I loved it. Like, it was awesome to wake up in the morning and go to the beach. Summers were fantastic. We hated the terminology back when I was a kid was shoobies. So we hated all the PA kids. Funny, like the Long Beach Island's changed so much like over the years, where it's almost priced itself out of a lot of, I would say, like normal everyday working class families. Now it's, the hedge fund managers from New York. There's a number of celebrities that vacation on the island, and that was always cool. And it's really shaped who I am today. I would, be skateboarding, down the street. I'd see Ray Romano. I'd have breakfast next to Jon Stewart and stuff like that. And it was really instilled in me that they're just regular people. And now I live in the city, live in Northern Liberties. And I when Matisse Thybulle lived here, I'd see him getting coffee like all the time. Seen Fletcher Cox hop out of his car and, going. They're always easy to spot too. It's always significantly nicer cars, and they're about 6'5", all of them.
Yeah, they're huge.
They stick out like sore thumbs. But no. So I mean, I think the island was crazy. It was moderately depressing at times. Like, and I was a kid, so like I didn't know what depression was, but like, you go out and like the traffic lights are turned off. You can lay down in the middle of the boulevard. Like, speaking of high school friends, like probably the reason why I've fallen out of touch with a lot of them is because it's a different lifestyle there in the winter, right? Like, they surf and they put their wetsuits on and everything like that, but there's no activities. And it's one of the reasons that I was drawn to Philly was there's always something going on. I went to college in Florida, just outside of Jacksonville, and whenever I wanted to go to an event outside of the Jaguars, I'd have to drive to Orlando, I'd have to drive to Tampa, I'd have to drive to Miami. Here in the Northeast, like, everything's so close. There's always something to do, and that's why I love living in the city. With my daughter, I'm sure we'll get into that, but it's easy to, for it to be a Friday night for me to hop on my bike and go pick up milk, go pick up beer, whatever it may be, and also. Today I went to the doctor. I never got in a car. I was back from the doctor's office in 8 minutes. Like, I couldn't say that on the island because where I lived, everything was a half an hour away. So I like the proximity, the liveliness, and it's part of the reason why I didn't enjoy LBI. We hated the shoobies, man. We hated it. You guys ran the whole economy. Like, I'm old enough now to understand, like, you're the reason that I worked 4 months out of the year and I could buy things that I wanted in the winter. You don't know that when you're, 13, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah. Now, like, is it in the wintertime, are there a lot of people that are like, let me get down to Florida? Like, is everybody like, I need to be around the beach? Like, do people just leave, or does a good majority like stay down like you guys did?
No, I mean, so the elementary school, I graduated from LBI Elementary, and it was a graduating class of 50. So we graduated in sixth grade. I know that's a weird thing for PA. I think it's seventh or fifth grade. You might graduate from elementary school. But there was an even more like desolate school on the island in Beach Haven, which had like a graduating class of like 5 and then we all shipped off to the same high school. Southern Regional on the mainland is what we called it, because we were beach kids. But for the most part, I mean, people stayed. There were, obviously, summer folks who would come down and spend the entire summer there, and then they would frolic back to their areas of the globe. But um, I mean, with the exception of like the real estate developers and stuff, like most of the people that lived on the island were like working class folks who, their parents would wait tables in the winter, or in the summer, excuse me. Their parents. My dad was an ice cream man in the summer for a number of years, like, and they made bank doing it. Like
Oh,
it
heck
was
yeah.
awesome to supplement their income. But um, yeah, I mean, winters, you stayed inside. That everybody partied on the beach for the most part. I wasn't a huge partier. I don't want to give that impression in high school. College is when I really picked up my partying habits. But yeah, I mean, that's where there were a lot less cops. There were a lot of, I won't call them empty homes, but a lot
Mhm.
of like places where some kids' parents were out of town and they
Right.
didn't have any neighbors on their block. So the only dead giveaway was obviously the cars, right? But there were very rarely like noise complaints and things like that because nobody's there at all. But yeah, that was winters were fun, but also really it was cold, man.